Welcome to this webinar dedicated to business model for Consolidation Hub. It is organized in the context of MOVE21 project, which is a project funded via the Horizon 2020 program. And I'll say a few words in the opening about what the project is, and then we can go through the program for today. So I hope you're seeing my screen now. So the MOVE21 project brings together several cities in organized in several layers. So there are 3 cities which develop full living labs, a full ecosystem in which they test and deploy solutions. And these are Oslo, Gothenburg, and Hamburg. Then there are the replicator cities, which are Munich, Rome, and Bologna. They also implement things, so they also test things within MOVE21. So they are involved from the very beginning of the project and very active into the activities we have. And then there is a third layer of cascade cities, which are involved mostly in the knowledge exchange activities within the project. And these are Thessaloniki, Toulouse, Stockholm, Bilbao, Murcia, and Sofia. Now, what are they doing within the project? I won't go through all of this, but I'll say only what's important for today. So a great part of the innovations tested within the project has to do with deploying or replicating or upscaling various types of multimodal hubs that bring in a number of innovation. And this has to do with combining freight transport with passenger transport, or co-using the same space in a hub by different operators, or even hubs that are supposed to be neutral to serve for consolidation of freight for more than one operator. Sometimes there are in social aspects in relation with embedding the hub into the neighborhood. So all these sort of innovations are tested within MOVE21. And this webinar was put together as a way of learning from other cities, from other use cases that were proved successful in other projects, or separately. And we want to thank to the Senator and LEAD project, which are also Horizons project, and to Alice, the Alliance for Logistics Innovation through Collaboration in Europe, for helping us to put up this webinar, and to all the contributors for bringing in their contributions. Now, for now, most of the contributions are from outside MOVE21. So really, it was put together to as a learning exercise for the MOVE21 cities. And then once we decided to do it, we realized it would be good to open it for all of you. And I'm happy to see that we have cities from Istanbul and Bucharest and Debrecen up to Dublin and Antwerp, or from Oslo and Gothenburg and Stockholm in the north up to Lisbon and Rome and Funchal registered for this webinar. So very happy this is useful beyond MOVE21. Now, without further ado, I want to go through the agenda for today. So we will start with a successful hub in Padova, City Port of Padova, that also received recently the Alice Logistics Innovation Award. So we're quite curious to hear why that. And we have Federica Frigato with us for the presentation. Then we'll go on with an use case from Dublin, and we have with us Eve O'Connor from NPost, from the Irish Postal Services. And this hub was developed within the project Senator. We'll have a short question and answer. So we have this short Q&A slots to make it interactive, but then we'll have it at the end as a panel discussion with all presenters, so we can go in more details. We'll have then a presentation from Stockholm by Clarence Strom from Ragn-Sells about a collective distribution center developed there. Unfortunately, Clarence will need to leave after the presentation. That's why we have a slightly longer Q&A session there. So prepare your questions immediately after the presentation for Clarence. Then we'll go through another use case from Madrid. Alfonso Molina from City Login will present a hub that was developed within the LEAD project. Then we'll have a hub from one of the MOVE21 cities, actually, from Gothenburg, and we have Ronia Rupe from Volvo Group presenting it. Once we go through the presentations, I'll make sure to keep the time close. Then we'll go into a panel discussion. You can ask all the questions you have to the speakers, but also we'll have with us Yaning Li from Alice to bring in the perspective of a network of logistics operators and all the insights they have from their members. And also Ila Maltese from Roma Tre University, also MOVE21 partner, with insights from a very relevant survey they did in Rome with logistics operators. So please, during the webinar, please ask your questions in the chat. We'll make sure to address them to the plenary. Also, when time comes, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions that you have. We want to make it, as I said, as interactive as possible. So help us with that. Without further ado, I invite Federica, and I'll stop presenting. So we'll hear about what they were doing in Padua in the last years. Federica, you're still muted.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay,
Perfect.
Sorry. Okay, and thank you, Lucian, for inviting us to this webinar. And I hope that at the end of this presentation, we will agree with Alice why City Porto has been awarded for its experience. And you see in the first slide the logo of the local bodies who support this experience from the beginning, which is the municipality, the province, and Chamber of Commerce, and the Mobility Agency of Padua, but also the Ministry of Environment in Italy. So we have a national benefit, and also at the level, regional level, Veneto region support us with some funding in the beginnings. Okay. So
Federica, if you intended to share the presentation, we don't see it yet.
Now you see?
No.
No, just a moment. Now?
Yes, and if you make it full screen.
It's okay?
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay. So just to introduce City Porto, I would be to make a picture of the context of the framework within Interporto Padova perform the logistic operation, because City Porto is part of the logistics activities of this company. Interporto Padova is the company who manage the freight village in Padua. So his asset is divided in the real estate, so the rental of the warehouses to the transport operators. So in City Porto Padova, the hub of City Porto Padova is very close to all the warehouses of the transport operators who perform the deliveries in the territory of Padua, in the province, and also in the Veneto region. And Interporto Padova is very involved in sustainable operation, not only in his logistics operation, but also in the terminal, because the mission of Interporto Padova is to provide sustainable transport operation, and by means of the terminal. So in the terminal, we perform the operation of converting the road transport by rail transport. Okay. So we take off the roads almost 400,000 trucks from the road, and because we use instead the train. Okay, so each year depart from Padua almost 8,000 train for main destination, the ports of the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, or in the north of Europe, we have a connection with Germany and Netherlands and so on. And in terms of energy, Interporto Padova choose the solution to use electric energy to produce, not to use, because now I try to explain. Interporto Padova has installed the largest photovoltaic plant here in Italy on roofs, and this plant is on the roofs of our warehouses, and we give to rental to a company who manage the plant and sell the electricity produced to the grid. Okay. But now Interporto Padova choose to install his own electric photovoltaic plant to produce electricity for his rail-mounted gantry cranes, because in the operation in the terminal are made not with diesel machine by means of gantry cranes. So we choose the electric devices to handle the containers. Okay. So this is just a framework, because to understand that the mission of Interporto Padova, who manage also City Porto, is strictly connected with sustainable operation. Okay. In our area, we have the first energy station in Italy inside the freight village. Okay, and finally we present you this chain of our logistic operations, that is City Porto. City Porto is a brand, okay, inside the logistic operation, so it's a registered brand, and perform the deliveries in the last mile in the city center of Padua. So what is City Porto? A really operating service. I mean that now is not a pilot anymore, okay? But the next year we celebrate the 20 years of operation of this service, and it's very simple. The model, I mean that we have a hub where the parts is consolidated, and that I already said that around in the area of the freight village where are located the main transport operators, we receive the goods in the morning from the transport operators, and we sort the goods that are destined to the city center, and we load in the van. Each van is we have now 11 van. Each van is covered an area, specific area of the city of Padua, so the different quarters of Padua. Okay, so we consolidate the goods by having the goods to be delivered in a specific area. Okay. And so we reduce the traffic congestion, because for example, the transport operator who share this service are almost 60. So instead of having 60 tracks that go inside the city center. We have all just the 10, okay, the 10 vehicles of City Port of Padua. And okay, this is very important because you see the role that play for us the local public shareholders. We all always say that without the support of the municipality, who in 2003 decided to close the city center and to write a regulation, a new rules to access the city center. Probably this experience will not start, okay, because it's only when the municipality decide to close the city center to the transport operators and to meanwhile offer a service more sustainable for them, for their service, okay, because they can choose to join or not City Port. It's not a monopoly, okay, but we perform the operation of delivery on its behalf, okay. But what success that in the regulation of the mobility, the municipality closed the city center with the gates, okay, and they permit the access to the transport operator in 2 windows time, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, but also make an agreement together with other local operator who support the initiative, and ask Interporto Padova, who already is a provider of logistic operation inside the city of Padua, okay, and we have the same in our company shareholder, okay, our stakeholders are the same stakeholder who support City Porto Padova. So Interporto Padova is a public private company which main stakeholders are the local public bodies who decide in 2004 to establish this service. So Interporto Padova make a survey and to establish the quantity of traffic and the number of vehicles that should be necessary to start this service, and we provide our experience, okay, in this our experience financial support, okay, during the first 2 years, and the first 2 vehicles also will be bought by the local public bodies, okay. After 4 years, City Porto Padova is now get to a balance, and now is in profit, okay. So the experience is continued because is profitable and affordable for the transport operator who share the service, okay. So this we can list the keys of success. So the stakeholder involvement, I mean the public bodies and the full support of municipality, because I already said decide to close the city center and to offer a different service of city logistics to the transport operators. We have a business plan that is focused on economic sustainability. I mean, we can't go on without profit. I mean that the money is not all, because, but to have so a long life, it's mandatory to stay in the market with a okay, like a competitor, okay. not only living by with the incentive public and the public funding. Okay. So the fourth point is the voluntary subscription of the operator to the service who join City Porto Padova, because they don't see City Porto as a competitors, okay, but as a choice, okay, that they can make, because for them, when the city center was closed, they prefer to give their goods that have to be delivered to the city center to another subject who perform the deliveries on their behalf, and to make the other deliveries in the other part of Padua not closed. Okay. So they don't less time or money. This is in poor words what happens. And also that location of the freight of the hubs in the is close to the urban area, is about 4 kilometers far from the city center. And there are gradual steps of implementation of our activities. I mean, we decide not to perform all the activities of the different quality of goods, but we concentrate in parcel, okay, or palletized goods when we start the service. So when we get with more experienced, we start with another kind of goods to be delivered, for example, with express or with perishable foods and so on. Okay, not too much from the beginning, because it's too difficult, and so we have to be skilled enough to start with other kind of services. And so the model is pretty simple, as I already said. Okay, so the transport operators, we have a contract with the transport operator. So for us, the customer are not the final consignee or the shop owners, but the transport operators. We have a contract, we are a regular contract with them, and the tariff of the service is based on the typical tariff of the carrier. Okay. And so based on the weight and on the size of the parcel to be delivered. And we have the transport operators that have a contract. The main operators share with us the informatic system. Okay, so they send us the day before the list of parcels to be delivered. And when the parcel arrives in the morning, we already have loaded in our informatic system the address of the parcel to be delivered. And so we have already prepared the label, okay, the printed label that we put on the parcel, and when the parcel were loaded in the van, we can trace the deliveries. Okay. And I already said that we have 11 vans, and each van is destined to a specific area of the city center. We have this in the map. You can see the planning of the city of Padua, and the red arrow are the gate that close the city center. Okay, and is about 1 million square meters of area, but we also provide deliveries in the neighboring area of the city center. And
Federica, I'm afraid we need to conclude.
Oh, okay. So okay. Yeah.
So if you have some things that you want to say as a way of conclusion, I retain that is done in relation with the.
Sorry, I mean that you have maybe on the benefit. Okay, we have make a study during along the years of activity, and so we can make a show you the data of the benefit. Okay, performance. Okay. There is a reduction you see of the particular matter and also of the CO2 thanks to this service, okay, during the years. So yes, we participate with this with better environment and liveliness in the city of Padua.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
I retain that it's about a large-scale consolidation center, that it's part of the industrial strategy of the municipality, and the municipality plays an important role in the running of the consolidations hub, and we'll take that into discussion, like what exactly that role is. And also that is done in connection with a limited traffic zone, which is an important aspect.
Correct.
I propose to go further, and then we'll pick up different points in discussion. So maybe we can go to the consolidation hub in Dublin. So Eve.
Yeah, I will just
share my your
screen.
Presentation.
Yeah, just 2 minutes. Make sure. Can everybody see that okay?
Great. Thank you.
So again, thank you for having the Senator Project and myself here today. Like Lucian has introduced, I'm Aoife O'Connor from An Post. So the An Post is the Irish National Postal Service, and we are consortium members of the Senator Project as well. As an Irish person, I speak very quickly, so please stop me if I am going too fast, or if there are any questions. Just move on. Okay, so I suppose to give just a little bit of an overview to the Senator Project itself, what it is and who we are involved. So there are 11 partners in total, and I have a map just that shows kind of the distribution of us across the 5 different countries that we're coming from. But in essence, it's an international collaboration. We have 2 urban living labs in Zaragoza and in Dublin. So ourselves in An Post and Correas in Spain are kind of key members of the project. It's a last mile delivery project, and as was mentioned earlier, it has been funded by the European Commission's Horizon 2020. We started in September 2020, and we will run for 48 months. So September 2024 is the end of our project. It's a €4 million project. It's quite a large budget, but across a lot of partners and a lot of tasks. So the main objective of the project is there to develop an online platform to manage and optimize freight collections and deliveries, thus reducing the number of delivery vehicles and emissions in European cities. Like I said, this just gives an overview to who we are within the project. And as you can see, we have partners in Ireland, Spain, Italy, Germany, and in the UK, with various roles. As I mentioned, we have an urban living lab in Dublin and we have an urban living lab in Zaragoza. The 2 living labs are very, very different. The same goal, but very different strategy, and very different even in terms of the items that we're moving. The living lab in Dublin is looking at parcels and dry goods, so deliveries of e-commerce, whereas in Zaragoza, they're looking at food into a market area. So there is which is, I suppose, for the project, it gives us great learnings because it shows that if we can achieve some of the outcomes, that Senator itself is a flexible model that can be used for different scenarios in different types of cities. And again, Zaragoza and Dublin, very different cities. I had the privilege of being able to visit Zaragoza last summer when the restrictions lifted. And I said to all the partners that they're going to be so disappointed when they visit Dublin because Zaragoza is so beautiful by comparison. So yeah, it's but again, it presents different challenges. Each of the living labs present their different challenges. I know we're here today to discuss the Urban Consolidation Centre, but in Dublin we are also looking at a curbside management pilot. So we've done the Dublin City Council, which is one of the partners involved, have done some mapping of the curbside to identify the assets that are available. And they are looking at next steps of perhaps digitizing the curbside and implementing some digital loading bays. So yeah, stay tuned. We're still kind of in the progress of that as well. So in terms of the Senator platform, it will incorporate urban infrastructure and planning, fleet size and the mix, transport networks and modal economics. So the graphic there just gives a very high level overview of, I suppose, what Senator would aim to do to reduce the number of vehicles and consolidate them into a better fleet mix as well. So looking at different types of last mile delivery vehicles, low emission vehicles, pedestrian routes, electric assisted vehicles such as trikes or push trolleys, and perhaps through the use of not just large urban consolidation centres, but micro hubs within cities. For Dublin specifically, this is again very high level, and my presentation is not very long, but I just want to give you an overview of our status because we're still very much in the middle of our project. This is what we had hoped to do, and I'll emphasize the word on hoped to do because unfortunately our plan has had to change slightly due to the barriers that we faced within the project. But essentially we wanted to be able to take multiple delivery organisations, consolidate them within our infrastructure in An Post. We have a unit in Dublin city centre just north of the city. We were hoping to use that building as an urban consolidation centre, use our vehicles and staffing to provide the sortation and delivery, but deliver the parcels through the Senator platform, through the Senator project. So in order to do that, we needed a partner, at least one, to consolidate with, because we can't test consolidation just on our own. So the best way we figured to do that would be to try and do some kind of stakeholder workshop or stakeholder engagement, to bring as many people as we could to the table to introduce what we wanted to do with the project, the benefits of it for the city, and I suppose just to encourage people just to start conversations with us. So we held a workshop last May in the Mansion House in Dublin, which is the residence of our Lord Mayor. So we were very, very grateful to the Lord Mayor for allowing us to use her space, or the then Lord Mayor. And so we invited everybody, and we invited their sustainability teams, their operations teams, their marketing teams to this event. We also had attendees from the Department of Transport, so government, and we also had a number of members of Dublin City Council who are partners of the project, but we had other teams from street planning, the public realm group, parking enforcement, and things like that. So like I said, we had an excellent day, a fantastic group. You can see pictured there how many people. It was, I think everybody as well, it was one of these events in person after COVID. So people were really excited to get into a room together and have discussions. And it was very, very successful. And what we found was the questions that we used some kind of facilitation and breakout groups to discuss some of the main issues associated with Dublin City Centre specifically. And the same issues that we are having as An Post was echoed throughout the room, and from the government departments and the departments within Dublin City Council. Those were issues around congestion and loading and unloading, which was one of the things we were trying to we hope to combat through the Senator project. So following this workshop, we invited everybody who attended to meet us separately one-to-one. So we kind of used the workshop as a touch point, an introduction to the project, an introduction to the project team. And then we invited each person to join us for an individual meeting. 4 companies did that with us over the summer months, which was really, really excellent. They were very engaged, very interested. They did highlight the concerns that they had from the very beginning, but they were willing to, I suppose, proceed in conversations with us. And I think everybody in the room on that day and any meeting that we've had, everybody wants the same thing for the city. Everybody wants a Dublin that is that you can move in. I don't know if many of you have been visited Dublin before. It is a very difficult city to get around, even by public transport. The level of congestion within the city is really, really bad. So as a delivery organization, trying to get from one side of the city to another in a very, very small area is quite difficult. So like I said, we had those meetings with 4 different organizations, which became 2 organizations. Was after those initial conversations. What we did was we sent everybody a survey with some of the key points that were discussed in those initial meetings. And we looked at, you know, if we were going to plan this a trial of an urban consolidation centre as planned, what would be the main barriers? When should we do it? What day should we start? What day of the week even? Something as simple as that. We wanted to decide all of these things together, because we felt if we came in as Unpust and as the Senator project and dictated everything, that wouldn't be a great start to collaboration. So we wanted to make all of these decisions together. So we had a look at, you know, what would be, as I said, what would be the best day of the week to start a physical trial, because is delivery volume very high on a Monday, so therefore should we do it on a Tuesday, as an example, and what time of the year should we do it? So following those, the survey and those initial meetings, only 2 companies progressed with us. And following that, we only now have 1 remaining organisation that we are still in conversation with. And the others, there wasn't any, you know, bad blood, should we say, but it was just a case of there were too many barriers and the resources that were required just weren't there to try and do this. So what we then came to this decision is, what if we did a theoretical trial? What if we used our data and the data of this other company to simulate scenarios? So in some ways, it's not the ideal situation. It's not what we had hoped to do. We wanted to run a real consolidation centre in Dublin, consolidating real parcels and move them across the city. But if nobody was able to do that with us, could we take some of their data and some of our data, put it together through the Senator platform and simulate what it would look like? And in some ways, it gives us some more information, because we can test limitless scenarios now, because it's not the real world that we're operating in. Particularly from the city's point of view, Dublin City has done a lot of pedestrianisation since COVID, due to trying to make space on streets for outdoor dining and things like that as restrictions came in. They also have trialled some pedestrianisation in certain streets that weren't traditionally pedestrianised. So as an example, in a theoretical situation, we can make a street pedestrianised within a click of a button and see what impact that would have on the movement of deliveries around the city and traffic in general. So I suppose, although it is not what we had hoped for, it does give us some other insight that we wouldn't have had otherwise. Another example would be the introduction of a low emission zone, which we don't have in Dublin City at the moment. So that could be something that we could look at, the impact of creating a low emission zone within the city centre, limiting it to emission-free vehicles only, and what impact that would have through the consolidation simulations. So I suppose for the main learnings for us, and I'm guessing for this today, would be what those barriers were. Now, there were many, many, many barriers and many, many conversations around how to overcome them. But these are kind of the 3 high-level ones that came up time and time again. So the first one, and I saw some questions in the chat there before I started sharing, and I think this really, really speaks to those questions. The IT and scanning. we scan everything, as you, I'm sure, aware. We use our own scanners to scan barcodes of items through our parcel machines, through our letters and packets machines, and all that information feeds our internal and external systems in the form of, obviously, for operations and planning and routes, but also it's a crucial source of customer communication. And that was one of the big questions, was how are we going to manage that? Because we need to be able to communicate with our customers and tell them, we have your parcel, we're sorting your parcel is on its way. We tried to deliver your parcel, you weren't there, this is what you do. And unfortunately, the Senator platform itself is not mature enough to do that. And to integrate two different organization systems over the lifetime of the project was not just not going to be possible. We did consider using multiple scanners, so that the postal operative, when they were sorting and delivering, that they would use, you know, company X's scanner for company X's parcels, and then the UNPUS scanner for the UNPUS parcels. But depending on how many partners, it would also slow down. There's a lot of room for error with that. And there was considerations, because the end customer, for us as delivery organizations, they are the most important person. We need to get those parcels and items to the customer. So I suppose that was a huge concern. Even simply down to barcodes, we did look at trying to introduce new barcodes, a Senator barcode, but again, the amount of development required just would surpass the lifetime of the project and the budget, unfortunately. So yeah, I suppose that was the really big one. And again, I know I keep saying, and again, in terms of IT, is how we would indicate how many parcels were coming. What volume, a handover procedure, and the only scenario would be to do all of that manually. And when you do something manually, there is a lot of room for error, which is again something that we didn't want to do.
I'm afraid I need to stop you. Let's leave some of these aspects for the discussion at the end. We're 15 minutes behind the deadline, but still I would like to take at least one question for Federica and one for you. And Charlotte, maybe you can help me with the questions from the chat.
Yeah, there were several questions addressed to Federica from City Porto. One easy question might be, who is the operator owner of the City Porto, asked by Susanne from Gothenburg.
Okay, the owner of the Consolidation Center is Interporto Padova. As already said, Interporto Padova is the manager of the freight village, and when the municipality write this agreement within Interporto Padova, like for the part of the logistic provider, okay, and the experienced subject who manage the service in his total. So we participate with the experience, so we for the management, and we give inside the business plan, okay, the consolidation center is owned is about 1,000 square meter, okay, with where there is the gate for the vehicles who can load and unload the parcel, so the packages that we receive. So there is in the entry of the goods from one side, and the exit of our vehicles from the other side. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think the questions on sizes of the operation, etc., we will also maybe take it to the panel discussion at the end. But there is another question for for Oife. So the theoretical trial is based on actual data from the companies?
Yes, so at the moment we are still very much in discussions around that. Like I said, we only have one company that's left that is still, I suppose, interested in participating. And what we have done is we've selected two times of the year, one of high volume around Black Friday and Christmas, and one, I suppose, a quieter traditional time of the year around the end of January, February. So we want to pull some data from those two times. We are still in conversations. We don't have an example of that data yet. What we've done is we've said, can we get an example, maybe 5 or 6 records from us and from them to see how that data could be merged before we do a big pull. But again, they're investigating on their side if that's possible. So at the moment, that's where we are. But hopefully, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I know there's many other interesting questions. We will take them either to the panel or we will make sure that we address them to the speakers afterwards, and I'm sure they can then also maybe respond shortly via email or so.
We go now to Clarence. Clarence, I hope we did not mess too much your schedule for the other meeting you need to go to. And thank you very much for staying with us. No problem. Now about hub in Stockholm.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, so my name is Clarence Ström. I work as a project manager at Ragn-Sells. I will talk a little bit today about what we do when it comes to cold logistics and consolidation hubs within city centers. First off, very briefly, Ragn-Sells is a family-owned business founded in 1881, and our core business is to take care of waste materials in 3 different ways: reuse, recycle, and in some cases to detox materials. Some group facts from 21. 2,466 employees. We operate in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Estonia, and in the year 2021, we treated about 6.3 million tons of waste materials. Ragn-Sells in Sweden is divided into 3 business areas. The one in the middle and the one to the right, I won't be talking about today. But the one to the left is Ragn-Sells Recycling, and that's our transportation and logistics part of Ragn-Sells, so to say. And within Ragn-Sells Recycling, we have a sub-segment called City Services. And what is Ragn-Sells City Services? It's basically this. So here you see a building that's representing a waste plant outside the city, and this is representing a terminal with goods. And what I mean with terminal, I mean all terminals, Schenker, DHL, and so forth. And to the right here, we see a real estate. It could be a shopping mall or train station, for instance. And our traditional business model, which we have worked with for several years, is that we provide a total solution for taking care of all the parcels and logistics combined with a waste management service within this estate. This is a successful business model. It's established at around 19 sites in Sweden, Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö, and employees about 100 people. However, when we look into the future, we aim at taking inspiration of what we are doing here and move it out to an external, more kind of a neutral hub, so we can do this type of service to more customers, more real estate owners within a city center. And we have come a bit on the way, so to say. We have established this kind of neutral hubs in 3 sites in Sweden, Stockholm, 2 in Stockholm and 1 in Malmö. And when we were trying to do this, this resulted in the project called Älskade Stad, Beloved City in English. Älskade Stad is about cooperation, collaboration that benefits the city. And the basic idea is electrified last mile transport of goods combined with first mile recycling management. The freight carrier delivers goods into the city to a hub that's represented by the yellow building in the middle here, and loads collected waste materials for transportation out from the city. Slow-moving electrical vehicles are delivering parcels to recipients and also pick up return goods recycling to the same hub. Bins containing materials becomes joint loaded into larger containers, such as a compactor, for instance. A compactor is a big machine that compresses the waste. Or larger bins for other type of material that's not suitable for putting into a compactor, for instance, dangerous waste, electronics, light sources. These compactors are in Stockholm, picked up during the nighttime, which also is very good for the environment and for the traffic in Stockholm. Älskede Stad is currently active in Stockholm, Malmö in Sweden, and Oslo, Trondheim, Norway. Älskede Stad started in 2017 in Stockholm, so it's actually not a project anymore. It's an ongoing business model. And a central hub is, of course, key to make this kind of work doable. If we look a little bit more at Älskede Stad Stockholm, down here you see the sort of players in this. And Älskede Stad is actually a brand owned by Ragn-Sells and Bring, because Ragn-Sells and Bring is a freight carrier, basically. So Ragn-Sells and Bring joined together, and with the help from Vasakronan, which is a estate owner, and Stockholm Stad, we managed to establish this at a site called Klara Zenit in Stockholm. Ragn-Sells is us, the waste management company. We operate the last mile solution and the logistics. Bring provide us with the parcels. Vasakronan provides us with the space needed for this hub, and Stockholm Stad has been very helpful, especially in the beginning of this project, and they have also helped us with a couple of special permits. For instance, we can move our slow-moving vehicles on pedestrian streets, etc. The area which we deliver parcels is defined by zip codes. We deliver approximately 4,000 to 5,000 parcels per month. We also collect approximately 60 tons per month of waste, all electrical vehicles combined. And we also do what I mentioned before, the off-peak transport of compactors during the nighttime. And to the right here, you see some obvious positive results with this type of solution: less emissions, less noise, less traffic. We cooperate together and we improve the atmosphere. This is a picture of the area of operations when it comes to parcels. So this is a part of Stockholm where we deliver parcels. All the parcels coming from Bring goes to the Consolidation hub and is then delivered with our electrical vehicles within this area. This is a slightly larger area. This is the area of operations when it comes to recycling. So the same type of electrical vehicles are doing pickups, recycling materials, and moves it to the same hub. In this picture, you see two red dots. We also have another hub in the city center only suitable for waste. But it's good to have two for waste, because if something gets broken or something happens within the Älskede Stad hub, we have a plan B to move the waste to the other hub. This is kind of a messy picture. I won't go into detail in this, but this is basically how it works. A Ragn-Sells truck is going empty to the terminal at Bring, collects all the parcels that's been designated for Älskede Stad in Stockholm. The truck then moves the parcels into the logistics hub and loads waste materials into the truck at the hub. And then the truck continues out from the city to a Ragn-Sells waste management site, for instance. And all the parcels are then being delivered, not only to the customers within the real estate that holds the hub, but also to the recipients within the designated area I showed you before. And we also collect recycling materials and bring it back and measure it on a digital scale and put it in the hub here. So that's very briefly how it works. In Malmö, which is another city in the southern part of Stockholm, of Sweden, we also do Älskade stad. Just a couple of words about that. It's a little bit different. We have kind of like, we are working more with Vasakronan in this case, so we have tied the operations to the pickup in Vasakronan's real estate, the pickup of waste materials, I mean. So we deliver goods within this area and also do the pickups at Vasakronan's real estates here. That's dotted out here in the map. This is a picture of the hub at Triangeln, Malmö. And this is a collection of pictures, what type of vehicles we are using. In Stockholm, we are using the big one in the middle and the slightly smaller one down to the right. This one up here is from Norway. And if you want to know more about Älskade stad, you can visit the webpage, älskadestad.se. Thank you. And that was all. Kind of quick.
Thank you very much. No, it was great. We agreed for quick presentations, so thank you for this. Maybe I'll start with one question, and then I invite everybody to ask their questions to Clarence, because as I said, he will need to leave after that. But I'll break the ice saying that we've seen this sort of consolidation of different services like last mile delivery and picking up of recycling waste. We've seen it already implemented in Oslo. We had a study visit there, something not developed in MOVE21, but was part of our study visit there. And also there will be a pilot in Gothenburg related to that, so very much relevant for MOVE21. So I hope you'll have a lot of questions. Now, if there are questions in the chat for Clarence, or if anybody wants to simply join, unmute themselves and ask their questions. Federica, you're muted.
Oh. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, you have made a question to me, maybe?
No, it looked like you want to ask a question. That's why.
No. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then we have Christina from Volvo. Christina, please.
Hello, Clarence. Just a question from me here. And do you have a good business on all the sites? Is it break even, or is there some earnings from this?
There's earnings.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Then Sally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my question goes to Ayufi. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but about the Senator project, and she mentioned that they are also going to develop the idea of curbside management. Is this the part of the project? And if so, if you're mapping the curbside management area and digitalization of the curbside management, do you also have a digital twin for your city where you see the integration of this mapping that you're planning to do? And secondly, are you also thinking of dynamic parking? So using this information for dynamic or efficient parking situations. So maybe with different mobility services like sharing, for instance.
So yes, we are mapping it digitally. We don't have a digital twin. In terms of the dynamic parking, it's the city council who will ultimately decide. I don't know apologies, yes, it is part of the project. The curbside pilot is also part of the Senator project. But I don't know in the lifetime of the project if we'll be able to get that far. The main aim at the moment is to develop the digital loading bays. I know there are barriers associated with bylaws. The traditional bylaws don't really accommodate digital loading bays, so that's going to be a difficulty, but that's kind of as far as we are at the minute.
Yeah, because exactly, because the ideas are very similar. I would be super interested to know how you're dealing with the policies and regulations that are in place, and also multifunction of that mixed use of the areas, because space is always a challenge for us in the city center. Sorry, I work for the city of Munich. So yeah, at the Department of Mobility, and we am always dealing with these challenges of logistics and hubs, because the pilots have been rolled out. We just need to concentrate on the space utilization and how to maximize its use, may it be daytime or night. And that's why I wanted to have some insights from you. But it is great to know that it's a part of the project, so we will follow you on this, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Please,
so much.
and I'm happy to contact with anybody offline outside of the meeting if they have more questions, or introduce them to other partners, such as maybe the
Could
Dublin
you
City
share
Council.
your email address here? It was
Sure.
in your presentation, but maybe in the chat window.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I want to say we're only taking questions for Clarence because he will leave, but then all the other questions we will take at the end of the presentation. So Howard, is your question one for Clarence?
Yes, it is.
Please.
So I'm Howard from the Institute of Transport Economics in Oslo, and I was just curious because you had a slide with many different vehicle types, light electric freight vehicles, and I was curious how you chose those and how it sort of evolved over the project, or if you've seen a impact from different types, how that's helped or hurt the process.
Yeah, one thing I can say is that the big one in the middle that I showed, it was the first one actually, and it was custom built with a how do you say the is anybody from Sweden here that can help me? The loading thing in the back. What is it called in English? When you go to a loading dock, you have like a small elevator that goes down like this, like on a ordinary big truck. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah?
the hatch on the back.
Yeah, okay. So we have decided that that's not necessary when it comes to city logistics. It takes more time to use it, and it's better to have trolleys that you can put down on the floor basically. So you don't need that kind of machine to like put on the loading dock, because there's a small amount of loading docks actually in the city. It's more common that you'll unload it on the street. So therefore we have the smaller one down to the right I showed you in the picture. Then the whole trolley is put down on the floor, so it's quicker to unload the goods, and also to load waste bins. For instance.
A question for Clarence? Sayali, it's your hand from last time, or you raised your hand again?
Sorry, I raised my hand again. My mouse wasn't working to get my mic on. Sorry. Clarence, I wanted to firstly thank you for your presentation. It was extremely insightful. My question to you is, one is already raised here about the choosing of the vehicles. How did you evolve and how did you decide? Was it area-wise? But you already answered it. And secondly, about the location of the hub, like you said, for us, it was important that the hub was centrally located because you're using it for also recycling. So your recycling area is bigger than your distribution area.
Yes.
So does it also go the other way around, that your distribution area is bigger and the recycling area is shorter? Does it work both ways, or it is only that you want to cover up the recycling area more?
For us, the recycling area is the most important bit.
So what recycling?
It's
Sorry?
The recycling part of the operation is the most important bit for us at Ragn-Sells. So we need to keep that balance in check.
Right. Like, so we have a project where we are also rolling out this LoRa sensors for checking the distribution, how many the dustbins are full, but this doesn't go, it is only in the recycling zone. So I was very much interested if we could use your way to at least pilot this for our city to see if the same size of the vehicles can do the job for us. So it was quite interesting, but I wasn't sure if it always works this way, that the expand of the area, because you are mostly, your aim is recycle and reuse and detox, and that's why you are then having the element of logistics. So this is why I wanted to ask if it works the other way around. But yes, maybe we have to try something differently. Maybe we have to have different vehicles to collect or to distribute, because we do not have the systems in place like you have, like this big hub.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
infrastructure, I mean.
I guess the thing is, if you combine different business models, one thing can enable another thing. That's how we see it.
Right, but it is a great insight to at least to go in this direction. Thank you.
One more question, maybe picking up on what Christina asked at the beginning, because you mentioned the city of Stockholm is involved somehow. So I want to make clear, is involved just for permits and facilitating, or it's involved with subsidies of some sort? So ultimately the question is if the business model is commercially viable.
Yeah, it's strictly.
And what's the involvement of the city?
Okay. Was it a question for me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's a commercial model. We don't get any financing from the municipality. But as I told you in the presentation, the municipality has been a big help for us, especially in the talks in the beginning when we were trying to get this business model together. They helped, and they also helped us with a couple of permits.
So
strictly, it's not subsidized.
Yeah, it's strictly a facilitating role.
Yes.
Lucian, I can say for the city, we haven't put any money apart from our working time for facilitation into this. We haven't had external funding either for the project. It's been an initiative from the businesses to work together and deliver this. And that's really the approach that we have for all of our projects, which is both good and bad, because of course sometimes it would be nice to take a big pile of cash and spend it on establishing something, but we generally don't do that. We when we've tested different approaches to consolidation or last mile delivery, when we've used project money, it's usually been for an additional cost only. So for example, I did a project last year with refrigerated food deliveries, and in that we only costed the hire of a refrigerated container for the delivery company and the permit for an electricity for the container. The other costs for the electric vehicles, for changed business model, everything else, they had to stand for themselves, which is good, I think, because it means they believe in what they're doing.
I think it's the kind of role that local authorities are happy to take. Thank you very much for this. I think we'll need to close it here. Clarence, you want
thank
to say
you.
something?
I was kind of stressed, so I forgot to say thank you for inviting me in the presentation.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, this is Yan Ying here. I want to have 2 comments about Clarence. Yeah, and thank you very much for the very inspiring presentations. So from my side, I haven't heard any consolidated centers for recycling. So it's very, very interesting. I probably will go back to you, Clarence, to invite you for an in-person event in Stockholm. Currently, I'm organizing, so don't be surprised if you see the invitation.
Yeah, of
I
course.
have your
Thank
email.
You
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Time to go on, and bear with us with 2 more presentations, very interesting ones, and then we can have more questions. So now we go to Madrid for a use case developed in the context of the LEAD project. So it started as a partnership between the local authorities and the logistics operator. And it turns out that it becomes more interesting than that. So we'll hear from Alfonso Molina. How is that?
Hi, good morning all. Thank you very much for inviting me to join this meeting. So I'm Alfonso Molina, I'm the project manager of CityLogin. CityLogin is a sustainable logistics service provider that are operating now in Madrid and joins the LEAD project and I will share with you a little presentation. First of all, I will present a little bit about how is lit. Okay, that was not included in the presentation I sent to you, Lucien. Sorry, but I will be very brief, and I will go quickly in the order. Okay, so now I will want to share the screen. Please let me know if it's okay. Now you can see the screen.
Yes, and now it's full screen. Thank you.
Yeah. Very brief. What is LEAD? Okay, LEAD is an acronym that is low emissions adaptive last mile logistics supporting on-demand economy through digital twins. So in the project we are working in create these digital twins, and one part of the project is the physical implementation of the different living labs to know if it's work properly and the digital twins are accomplished to the reality. So there are 6 living labs already running. Each one has its own model of use case and the approach for these digital twin creations and the problem that each city has in its own. In the case of Madrid, it's just focused on create a urban consolidated center in the city center where normally represents 11% of the urban fleet and 21 of peak hours pollution and 30 of pollution in the city. That's only for distribution or freight deliveries. Okay, so the focus of this living lab is just to create this consolidated center and prove that it will be possible to do it different. Brief description. This is the current status that is, and the decision is to be the use case for the Madrid. As you see, it's just to reduce the amount of vans that comes outside the city to the center, to reduce it to consolidation centers and use light electrical vehicles to do it in the low emission zone. That was much peatonal, and this was very difficult to the freight deliveries. Okay, and reduce the contamination and the amount of traffic. There will be 4 possible locations, and we decided just to use an underground facility that is already operated by EMT, that is the local authority for transport municipality. Okay. We have the great community of practice, included the local authorities, the enterprise for the sector, the logistics service providers, the neighbors, local commerce associations, and other companies that it will be interested in. And well, this is just very quickly how it will work, the digital twin workflow, and how it will be pre-processed and processed, all the information about the creation of these digital twins. So recite the daily service, go running through the scenarios, the different scenarios, and you can check if the solution it will be good for your city. You can scale it up if it will be good for your decision to do the emissions. Okay. And now it's more than the digital workflow. The open data is a repository that it will be public when the project is already finished. So every city have a repository of the data involved in the digital twin that it will create it in Madrid, and can be shared for any city that it will be interested in have these details to decide if it will be a good solution for them. Okay. And just to show a little photos where the consolidation share is already running until October 21. So we are running more than 1 year ago. So we have just several numbers in our minds and in the digital twin creation and check it, but the still is running. So the project is not already finished. It will finish this year, and we will share all the emissions and the KPIs. Just we have checked it in few months. So it will be okay for all. well, there's a little explanation about the impacts that it will be taking. Is the ASI situation from San Fernando and as doing in the urban consolidation center for Plaza Mayor. So this is a very quick presentation about what is lit, and now I will focus more on the physical implementation and how it's done. Okay, Lucien, sorry for this brief explication about.
No problem, but let's make it short.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will more focus in this because it's the agenda is more focused on the model of PPP signaled by CityLogin IEMT. So I will take more time in this little specific point. Okay, it took 3 months, yeah, from the start of the paperwork or where we were meeting and obtain the pertinent permissions to start operating. Until that, the urban the authorities don't left to use any facility to a private company, so it had to be done by the authorities local new laws to have the permission to do that. And the type of contract selected was just a transfer of use of the space of the facility, just for cross-docking operation, never for have there like a hub or have any goods there on my seated or place it. A zero cost is established during the development of all the project, but yes, it's already agreed to continue and have a future negotiation for monthly rental. That will be the solution decided. And the costs for adaptation and the necessary facilities, of course, as part of CityLogin are borne by the operator in this case. Okay. Yeah, in this chapter, okay, about the adaptation of the facility, yes, the facility was a use of storage and inspection of vehicles for mobility agents. So yeah, the first that we have done is just to adaptate the space, to clean the premises, and then we act on the electrical installation and also in the fire and air renovating installation, just for to be actualized according to law, because the activity is completely different from the before use. And finally, we spent a little space for the office where the dispatchers of the traffic bosses will run in. Yeah, that is the photo of the premises until it was before the start of the operation, and these are the photo after the operation, just when the start of the operation. Okay, so in the lights is the office. Okay, yeah, how it works? Okay, very simple. Just we are using a principal hub that is San Fernando, that is in the outside of the city, and there the goods are classified, and then we use large van or medium vans or with electricity to the urban consolidation center seated in Plaza Mayor. And we use this facility also for the reverse logistic. Okay, more or less, just a brief planning about how it works. Okay. Well, this will be more quickly. That is just defining how it will be done, the collection and classification, the distribution. All the presentation will be shared until after the end of this meet, so you can check it more slowly. But it's a brief description about all the activities done in the urban conciliation center. Okay. Also, the reverse logistic is included. Rescheduled, rejected, collected. This is several photos from the collection point that is San Fernando and the facilities that were the scanning. Yeah, the vehicles are electrical vans and light electrical vehicles, full electric. Every vehicle is full electric. For the next step, yeah, the agreement of with local administration, just as we told you, for a rental, a monthly rental that has to be according after the finish of the pilot. We will increase the use of space, adding new customers and new flows and work volumes. We will create or generate new business models involving more the local stakeholders that will be used, for example, installing lockers for the local neighbors or business. And also the final is to create a network of micro hubs that will allow distribution with this kind of electrical vehicles in more areas that we identify in the city center, that is not just in the middle of we are working now, just in the outsides also. And that's all. I think I will be more or less on time. Sorry, Lucien, if I take a little minutes more.
No, thank you very much, Alfonso. Very interesting. You know, a pilot was developed within a Horizon project and it became a self-sustainable business model. If we reach that in MOVE21, we would be very happy. So you're an inspiration. Let's go quickly to Gothenburg, and we have Ronia Rupe, and we'll hear about the Smooth It project there. Ronia, now the pressure is on you as the last speaker. If you can go to the heart of the issue, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll try. There.
Not full screen yet, I think. Yes, now it's perfect. Thank you.
See my screen, right? Great. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Ronia Rupe, and I work at the Innovation Lab at Volvo Group Connected Solutions, and I work as a senior service designer. And one of my projects through the years has been this Smooth It one. And today I've been invited to talk about our business model, which I will focus on. But before that, I very briefly talk about the project setup and also explain the Smooth It service concept. So Smooth It is a research-funded project by Vinnova, the Swedish innovation agency. And the consortium consists out of several logistic providers, everything from DHL, which is a very large one, to Pling, which is a small bike carrier company here in Gothenburg. We also have vehicle manufacturers such as us, Volvo, research institutes, government, such as the Swedish Transport Administration and the City of Gothenburg, and also some real estate owners. So Smooth It is a research-funded project by Vinnova, and it's been going on for around 3 years now. And the purpose with Smooth It is to decrease the number of vehicle movements within the city to get a more attractive city environment. But the vehicle movement that still will be needed, they should then be electric. And this is also one of the main reasons of why Gothenburg City is very positive to this initiative. And before I go on, I also want to mention that Smooth It has focused on business-to-business deliveries, so not business-to-consumer deliveries as well. Our vision is to be an orchestrator that optimizes transports, fill rates, and vehicles for a more sustainable city. And how will this work? Well, as you probably know, today's deliveries are usually set up as the left illustration here, where all the deliveries are brought to the receiver by every transport provider and through their terminals. But with SMOVE21, we want to consolidate all the transport providers' goods with smaller hubs around the city in order to decrease the number of vehicles, but also to make sure that the transport are more efficient and electric. So we believe that we need to do this and build it upon three main building blocks. We have the brand SMOVE21, where we can offer a business and maybe also need to consider some legal agreements. And then we have the physical infrastructure, which includes all the consolidating hubs and vehicles. And here we mainly want to use the existing resources within the city, use existing spaces as city hubs, and increase the usage of existing environmentally friendly vehicles. So SMOVE21 will not own infrastructure or assets, but only orchestrate the usage of them. And the last one is the IT system, a system of system, which is needed to match the routes and to calculate the environmental impact. This is a system that should be integrated to all the transport providers' existing systems in order to make the use of it as smooth as possible. And then let's talk a little bit about the business model. And what we have done so far, it's been a lot of work. We have done a lot of different iterations and talked to a lot of different transporters, to suppliers, to receivers, similar initiatives in Europe, terminals and real estate owners, and many more. And we have tried out those different concepts that we have. We have had several workshops, benchmarking, and a lot more. But now we finally come up with the final hypothesis of how this actually could work. But before I present that one, I just very quickly want to show you a snapshot of how we actually got here. And in the application idea, the idea was to gather data early on in the logistic chain to optimize the logistic flow. But we quickly realized that this would be very hard since the transport plans change all the time, and they can be changed as just like the last seconds before the driver leave the terminal. So we needed to rethink here, and we did. And we had like 30 different hypotheses of how this could work, but we decided to go on and develop and try 8 of them further. And we did that in many various ways, but mainly through different dialogues and interviews with all the stakeholders in this ecosystem. And we realized pretty fast that there's probably not one way, but rather several different ways in order to suit all the different players and all the different stakeholders. And also, since the margins are pretty low in this business, and we are actually adding steps in the logistic chain, which then drives costs. So we need to be careful here. And what we, the result of it, or what we believe in at the moment, is a hybrid model with different building blocks that can be more or less present depending on the city where SMOVE21 exists. But as a base, we do think that the transporters needs to contribute to the system and own the whole route. And I will get back into this in details in a second. But on this, we also think that there's a possibility to offer cheaper transports to local producer which need to transport goods into the city by offering them cheap rides on already scheduled flows. So that's what we call the marketplace. We also think that we can put on some extra services and get some extra revenue streams, mainly by offering this to receivers and to senders. And this could, example, be storage solutions, replacing expensive storage spaces in the city center, or help with waste management. We also believe that the real estate owners can play a big role here if they believe in a city environment free from heavy traffic. So they can, for example, help Smooth It operators to find good locations for hubs and to subsidize the rent in the beginning in order to help with the margins. We also believe that policies play a huge role, but this is also really depending on every city where Smooth It could operate, but with good policies and that are actually aiming for reducing heavy traffic in the city environment, this can really help Smooth It to grow as well. But back to this base thing that I talked about. As I said before, Smooth It will use the existing infrastructure and assets in the city. So this includes existing transports as well. So transporters, they can join Smooth It and use it for mainly two different reasons. And the first one is to help carry out the last mile deliveries. And by sharing existing capacity within the Smooth It zone, the Smooth It IT system can help the transporters to increase their fill rate and efficiency by handing over transport assignment and getting paid for it. So more or less that the transporter will increase their revenue on existing routes by taking on some of those transport assignments. And then the second use case is that the transporter, they can actually outsource inefficient transport assignment with help from Smooth It. So for example, if a transporter A has many deliveries to area A, but only maybe 1 to area Z, well, then the delivery to area Z can be handed over to the Smooth It IT system, which then finds another Smooth It transport provider with a more efficient flow to area Z. So transporter A, which then outsources the transport assignment, pays a little bit for that, but will at the same time save some costs by not or by skipping that extra route to area Z. And then the transporter B will then take over the delivery and will earn some extra money for that. So that was more or less the use case before. So yeah, and why do we set it up like this? Well, we found, or the research showed pretty early, that there are some risks with actually taking over parts of the transport assignment from the transporters due to Incoterms. So Smooth It could easily be like locked in and be responsible for part of the routes, and thereby also responsible to make sure that the receiver gets their delivery, so more or less pay for the last mile delivery. And we also actually experienced this in one of our early tests with the care-off address. So we set up a test where some stores and offices in our living lab, they changed their delivery address to a care-off address located at a transporter's terminal outside the city. And the transporter's assignment, they were completed as soon as they had delivered to this care-off address. And since it was the real estate owners who actually wanted to do this, the real estate owners become then responsible for actually getting the delivery to the receiver, and they also needed to pay for it. And this was, of course, fine during the test period, but actually still today, there's some packages arriving to this terminal because they haven't changed the care-off address. And the real estate owner, they still need them to pay for this consolidated transport into the city. And that's something that then can happen and something that we would like to avoid in Smooth It by always making sure that the transporters has the responsibility through the whole chain and to the receiver. So therefore, we believe that the main responsibility should be on the transporters, since we're just going to orchestrate it. And therefore, it needs to be the base. And then we can add some some more stuff on top of it to bring up the margins. Yeah, so that was very short about the business model. And before I end, I just want to touch very quick on how SMOVE is organized or will be organized. And we are actually not really sure yet. It's a challenge to find a good way forward here, and we are still just a research project. So that's something that we need to think about. But it would be really interesting to also see how SMOVE could fit into MOVE21 or learn from you, or since we also have Nordstan as a living lab, which I think is a hub in MOVE21 as well. There's some touch points here, so I think there's a lot of things that we could help each other with. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronja. You actually asked my question. My question would have been like, can MOVE21 build on what SMOVE already achieved? Maybe it's a question for our colleagues in Gothenburg or for all of us to find the best way to build on SMOVE. But for now, I want to invite all speakers to turn on their cameras. Also, we have with us Yan-Ying Li and Ila Maltese as part of the panel. And you know, to not keep the questions pushing, I would propose to start with some of the questions from the audience. If you prefer to do so, you can simply turn on your microphone and ask your questions, even if you put it in the chat. If not, we'll pick them up from the chat. So maybe yeah, use the raise hand feature to have an order. And Ansha, maybe we can start with some of the questions from the chat.
Yes, I've picked up on a number of questions that were raised at the very beginning, especially on the case of Padova. So we had here questions from Christina and from Mauro from Bologna. So the question from Christina was, logistic companies often do not want to lose the last mile delivery to other third party, as they then lose their customer interface. How did you overcome this issue?
Okay. In the case of Padua, I think that we are not seen as a third party or as a competitor, because Interporto Padua, who manage City Porto, already exists for the transport operator that are located around the area. So they know that the transport operation are not our business. We just manage the service for the municipalities that make a regulation to access the city center, and that regulation say that, dear transport operator, you cannot access anymore with your pollutant vehicles, and you can circulate only in this window time. But you can, for your service, I have arranged a sustainable service of transport that consolidate your delivery and make these deliveries with eco-friendly vehicles, because the 11 vehicles of City Porto Padua are powered by butane gas. So the transport operator see City Porto Padua as a public service, okay, not as a competitor. Okay, and so they join the service because they have a benefit. Because there is the next question for City Porto Padua is there is an increase of the transport cost. Okay, so I can answer to this, but is in, I think that complete this question. Yes, there is an increase of the transport cost, but the transport operators that normally access the city center for with 1, 2, or 3 deliveries, okay, and lose time to access the city center because they have to wait for their window time, can pay this increase of cost that cover the cost of City Porto Padua, but the cost of City Porto Padua are balanced by consolidating all the parts that goes into the city center, and so is now slowing. Can I go on with the other questions? You know, I don't know. For example, the size of the service, I can answer to Mauro Borioni from the city of Bologna. The size of the service is about the 60 transport operator who joined the service, okay, is about the percentage, about the 40% of the traffic that come to the city center of Padua, because the regulation say that transport operator who use electric vehicles or methane vehicles can access 24 hours a day. So there is no limit, okay? And so just a part of transport operator who normally use traditional transport vehicles under 3.5 tons, okay? And how many the shops are more or less 300, and how many deliveries we have a data of about 65,000 deliveries per year, much more or less, okay. There is just an increase in the past years when we also made the service of express parcel deliveries, but we don't make this anymore because we change our business plan. We see that it's not profitable for us because it depends from the business model that you have, because we use vehicles with the hydraulic lift also is not suited for express deliveries that normally are small parcels or envelopes. So you have to do a lot of deliveries to cover the cost of that transport. So we are specialized in a different kind of delivery, so package or palletized goods and so on. So we decide not to do that kind of service anymore. But as you already said, we get with step by step, okay. And when we decided to not to make the express parts anymore, we start a new service of deliveries of perishable goods, for example. So we bought 3 refrigerator vans, and we deliver the perishable goods, so vegetables, meat, and other kind of perishable goods to the small supermarkets that are inside the city center of Padua. Okay. So we have balanced the loss of deliveries with other kind of deliveries. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your response, Federica. The other questions from the chat were mainly considering the Smooth It project. But it was very much related to this last question that you also launched, like what kind of follow-up we can give to that and how this can be taken up also in MOVE21. So I'm not sure we launched that question now, Lucian, but please, over to you.
Yeah, so maybe I would bring in you know, a bit of new insights, and I would start by asking Yan Ying. You know, as part of your work at Alice, you interact regularly with your members, with logistics operators. So what do you feel are their needs or their barriers or their challenges to invest in such hubs? And maybe from these discussions, maybe you know what sort of support they would expect from local authorities to invest in such hubs. Yeah, that would be my question.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you. I think to manage the hub is always desirable for the logistics companies, and they need such hubs, particularly when they move to smaller vehicles. If they want to use zero emission vehicles or cargo bikes, they need such logistic hubs in the city centers. And we are now also move urban logistics overall to collaborative urban logistics rather than everybody do their own deliveries. So this is about the needs. Of course, more dialogues with city authorities are much needed, and give the voice of industry and the business in the policy making is always welcomed. But what I interested is we see many projects setting up logistic hub, and it didn't have a life beyond a project. So, and that's, I think, almost become a lessons learned. So that's why we give Frederick the award, because when we're doing these studies, we look at many projects, and there's only, in terms of collaborative logistic hub, this is only surviving one, at least in our knowledge. And so this is become a challenge. Like if we always use project to set up collaborative urban logistics hubs, and we tried for a few years and then it's dead. Why is that? I can tell one reason we discovered through our study, discovered why most did not successful. And it's because the business model is done not by business. A project is research and innovation project. The business model is done by researcher. It's not done by business. And that just doesn't work. And it does not work at all. Exploitation plan is done by people who never exploit any project outcome in their lives. And so they're just sitting there inventing. So I highly encourage, if any, if we are running current projects and get the business model done already at a very early to engage with potential users, buyers, and then if you're setting up a proposal really to get business people and get your potential final users to get involved and to make and that actually work at the end of project. We currently organize, I think your city is part of it, task force for advanced innovation project outcomes. One actions we call for is to engage with business people in proposal preparations, particularly regarding business models and exploitation. Okay, I pause here.
Can I just have a small comment? Because one thing that seems clear here, it also seems clear in other project, is that you're always talking about logistics service provider solution. The logistic service providers, they normally do what they're asked by those who are really the important people, namely the cargo owners, the shippers, and the receivers of cargo. And many of these projects do not include those. And if you really want to have collaborative logistics, those are the guys who can facilitate this. Logistic service providers cannot. Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
And we see in Oslo, for example, we had a dialogue with logistic service providers in MOVE21. We sent them a questionnaire. Nobody bothered to answer. So The best example that I currently know about is the one that is taken, done in Antwerp by Triwijzer under the name of Cult, where they have a number of shippers that agreed to join their cargo flows. And that is the path forward as far as I'm concerned, not bothering with logistics service providers.
Yeah, I cannot agree anymore, Ian Todd. So what way I use the word business. Shippers and the cargo owners, and it's definitely need to demonstrate a business model like the Antwerp case cut, and is for all the shippers they can use this service and the either save cost or is not save the cost, but it's the same cost, but to move to more sustainable urban logistics, and that's their interest as well. So conclusions engage with shippers, engage with cargo owner.
I think we have Chris from Antwerp with us. Can you maybe comment on this or tell us how it works in Antwerp? No, okay. So what I wanted to also comment to what Yan Ying said, I think I agree with that. If these hubs are supposed to be commercial, they should be designed, by commercial operators, providers with a business model in mind. But I guess it's also the question that some of these hubs, because these hubs also help to advance, public objectives like sustainability objectives in general. And they might be considered, some of them, some models as a public good and, subsidized just as public transport is. So that could be, a different type of hub, and that's also legitimate, I think.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's always a question why public transport has been heavily subsidized and the free transport has to pay everything and take the blame. But good news is for all the logistic companies or business, the cargo owners, the shippers, we engage with, and they all have motivations and they all have been, motivated by their customers to move to sustainability, and so they're willing to invest into sustainable urban logistics. So it's no conflict here. But of course, if and that means it has to be more cost, that's always bit difficult. So it has to be no additional cost, but additional benefits to move to more sustainable, more sustainable. Okay.
Thank you. I want to go now to Ilan because there's also insight from Rome. So the city of Rome, in partnership with Roma Tre University, they did a survey with logistics operators to see their needs for investing or operating from such hubs. And Eli, if you can give us some insights from the results of the survey, thank you.
Thank you, Lucian. Maybe I'm not able to share my screen, but it's not a problem.
We see your screen.
Okay. You see my presentation? My presentation, it's one slide, to be honest. So.
Yes.
Okay, great. So just a few words to frame the methodology and the context of this survey you were talking about, because the sampling row was finally approved last year and includes a section dedicated to logistics. It was drafted according to a participatory approach, which identified the measure to be implemented. And among these measures, micro hubs have recently been indicated also by the Counselor for Mobility as the first of 10 actions to be implemented. So we have a living lab also as a result of this sample. And the participants asked the living lab, the logistic living lab, support for experimental projects. So and this is the survey, on 2021, we launched a call for ideas among operators in search of proposals for initiatives that could become the subject of European funded projects. And after this phase, because the operators were quite shy to answer to this call for ideas, we organized also bilateral meetings, so interviews with operators. And when it comes to use micro hubs, to implement and use micro hubs, they highlighted the needs you see in the slide. So the micro hub was supposed to be accessible and not too peripheral, so quite close to the center. It should be large enough to easily accommodate all the logistics operations and operators as well. It should be connected, of course, to the electricity network in order to be able to host charging stations for electric vehicles. It should be able to provide the necessary services to operators. Think about bikers and drivers with different needs. So to take a shower, to recharge the smartphone, and so on. And in addition, it is quite interesting, they stress the need to be sure that once the area has been identified, is then actually used for the purpose and on an ongoing basis. This is a sort of very interesting point, because they were worried about the fact that the administration could change idea about the area or change the area itself, at least for the experimental projects, so for the pilot projects. They also proposed many interventions, going from the reuse of the market areas to be managed by logistics operators, because we have some market areas that were not used anymore. Another initiative proposed to make the electric cargo bikers to manage the ancillary services, like, for example, reverse logistics, to reduce the stop time of the vans that are currently delivering the parcels. So the cargo bikers are not delivering the parcels, just help, just to be of support. And a last one, for example, is to establish a specific area for the load break for cargo bikers, and a mobile hub. So to make this mobile hub fixed in a point, and otherwise the bikers could be exposed to weather and to be ready to respond to an appointment, And the second one, just to close my answer to Lucian, another survey we did about micro hub, not specifically, not directly, but the results are very encouraging. In addition to other synergies with other projects for MOVE21, we are currently involved in this project, L3D, that is a project that allows to use a smartphone in order to ask respondents to choose from multiple choice multiple choice questions about policy mix options, and each policy mix presents different measures for different strategic areas of intervention. Then we have a software that makes possible to process the data collected in real time. And so we are able to return to the same respondents within a meeting, for example, for presenting them the result of the survey through a narrative storytelling and visualized situation, and to collect also their feedback. So we made the first experiment in July 2022 during a meeting with various Living Lab logistics participants, stakeholders, and we tried to involve them also because they came from different supply chain, and they were senders, they were recipients, they were operators and other categories. And the results, as you can see, is the table you can see in the lower part of my slide, also highlighted the need to have micro hubs as a central part of all the three most preferred and voted policy mix. So this is also quite interested in my opinion. So I have concluded. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ila. I guess at least for MOVE21 partners, we'll be able to hear more about this when we'll be in Rome soon.
Yes, of course.
So maybe if everybody can stay for 2 or 3 more minutes, I want to give a chance to Christina. I think she had a question for Yan Ying earlier. Christina, are you still with?
Yes, thank you, Luciano. It's okay. I can skip that up. We can take it another time. Thank you.
And then I have one more question for Alfonso. It was a curiosity when I saw his presentation, and I don't want to leave it unanswered. So normally commercial operators, they want exclusivity. They want the market only for them. But then you showed a big community of practice with other operators, with other types of service providers. How does that help you in defining what you did in Madrid?
Well, there are more involved cargo associations or product owners. So this that we are a service providers, but the associations already involved are the owner of these goods, the people that just contract us to deliver. So is yeah, as Janjin has said before, it's very important to involve these stakeholders also in this kind of project, because already are the people that have to make the decisions over the logistics service provider about how it will be done the supply chains inside the city, in the center of the cities. For example, ICOC or some associations here in Spain that is just a very great business, like Unilever or DHL, or more than a simple logistics service provider like City Login or owners of service. And they are focused on how it works, because they will they want to know how it will be done in another way, in another business use case to do it greener, and don't have a very much economical penalization or service penalization, and this is where they are more focused on economical and service. And of course, they will solve the problem that is the limitation of the authorities to enter in the center of the cities for the vehicles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all speakers. Thank you to everybody in the audience. That was a nice webinar. I think we can conclude that there are different models. There could be ones initiated by commercial operators. There could be ones initiated by local authorities, or at least a partnership in which local authorities play an important role. I guess each of these models could work in a different context. Also, I think we've learned there is still a lot of place for innovation in this area. So maybe 1 year, 1.5 years from now, we'll be able to do a similar webinar with models tested in MOVE21. So I hope I get support from the consortium to make that as a promise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.